Hey, I'm Jonathan, and I live in London, England.
Hey, I'm Jeff, and I live in Perth, Australia.
Together, we are Echo and Sidetrack.
We produce music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between the giant space that separates us.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Echo and Sidetrack.
We're also brought to you by Micrology Coffee Roasters, another amazing Perth company doing some big things. They source their coffee from around the world, roast it right here in WA, and can send it to you wherever you are, so you can enjoy the sweet, sweet brown liquid that is coffee. This week, we have a discount code for you. That discount code is
Sidetrack. That's spelled SIDETRACK at micrology.com.au.
Enter Sidetrack at checkout for 20% off. Get some coffee beans sent to you, and if you want it pre-ground or something because you don't have a grinder and you just want to try it out, just add that in the notes and they'll sort it out for you. Micrology Coffee Roasters. By far the best coffee you've had ever.
This podcast is also brought to you by Short Order Burger Co. Personally, I think it's the best burger in Australia. There's one store on Hay Street in the city and a new shop in Fremantle. Go get a nice, tasty, wet one right inside.
And welcome to another episode of A Band Apart with Echo and Sidetrack. But as you pointed out to me before, Jonathan, that it's kind of a redundant intro because you've just listened to the intro, so you kind of know who we are already.
But now we do the adverts.
Oh yeah, the ads. Thanks for supporting our our supporters. Get some coffee, get some burgers, and go and like us on Facebook, Instagram. Tell your friends, share the podcast. Tell your friends about us, and tell your friends about other things as well, because talking is important. That's why we do this, I think, isn't it?
It is.
My friend, my brother.
It is very important to talk.
I think communication and trust are the two pillars upon which any good relationship is built, Jonathan.
I agree.
And if you're going to add a third pillar, what would that third pillar be?
Communication, trust, and
liking the same foods.
Yeah, it's pretty integral that you both like the same food. Like, I could never be in any sort of relationship with anyone, whether it be it a friendship or a partnership, like a romantic relationship, if they didn't like exactly the same food as me.
Yuck, gross. No, it's important that you almost want to fight over the same dish at the restaurant. You're like,
yeah,
I'm getting the spinach bake, and they go, I want the spinach bake as well, and then you both get exactly the same thing that's really boring.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's how long-term bonds begin.
I met this really beautiful girl a couple of weeks ago over here, actually, and we'd kind of been hanging out, and we were going out for dinner one night, and I said, hey, do you want to let's go get some Thai food? And she just said, oh, no, I'm not really into Thai. And I instantly was like, fuck off then. And I left, and I just didn't talk to her again.
Yeah.
Yeah, blocked her number.
Yeah, good. Any bond before that
it's broken.
Is worthless if you can't agree that you're going to eat the same thing at exactly the same time as well. It's important to have exactly the same taste in everything. So, but you want to be dating someone that's almost like looking in the mirror.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I look for. I want someone that's like basically feels like me, looks like me. It's just like hanging out with another me, because I know I'm so perfect to hang out with. That's all I really want.
You're a superior product, so why wouldn't people want two of you?
Yeah, exactly. That's wow. I mean, we're so on the same page in this.
We are.
Like, if only we could date each other.
Let's hope the rules change, Jonathan, and you're still living in the UK at that time. No, but in all seriousness, I've grown an afro. No, sorry.
I don't know what the third pillar is, though. Trust, communication, and listening? But I guess that's kind of under communication.
I'm not even sure that there is a third pillar, Jonathan, but all things I know that are really strong have three sides, i.e.
Triangle is the strongest base for anything.
Yep.
That's the strongest shape.
Sure is. I reckon an oblong sounds strong, but isn't as strong. You know, like if someone said there's an oblong coming to fight you, I'd be more concerned than if someone said there's a triangle coming to fight you, just based on the name.
Yeah, definitely. The word oblong has
Oh, he's an oblong. What the hell is going on?
a strong connotation to it, like a slug. Do you remember the show Oblongs with Will Ferrell? It's a cartoon. I reckon they did 2 seasons, and it was like a family of people that had, I can't remember if they'd been mutated or they'd been like something had happened to them. And the father was played by Will Ferrell was called Bob Oblong, and he was just like a guy
vaguely.
without any legs, no legs and no arms.
Yeah, vaguely.
It was a really funny show, and it was on, I don't think it was Adult Swim, but I don't think it was Cartoon Network, but it was like 2005 maybe.
It might have been super early Funny or Die stuff, because that's his company.
Maybe. I was thinking about that show recently, actually, and do you remember the TV show with the cartoon that had John Goodman as the father, and it was about the lion who was in The Magician? Who are those famous Las Vegas magicians?
Siegfried and Roy.
Siegfried and Roy.
Royd. First name Hammer.
He was like, yeah,
Siegfried and Roy.
It's the story of the lion, their main lion, and like what happens at the zoo where they all live.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
And I had John Goodman as the father. Again, it was a really funny cartoon that probably just ran for like 1 season.
I feel like they do that with animation a lot. I was actually thinking recently of Clone High, which I think is one of the most slept on cartoons ever produced.
Yeah.
1 season. What are their names? Chris and Phil.
Lord Miller.
They're brothers? No.
No, the guys that made the Lego movie 21 Jump Street, they were responsible for directing most of Solo, the Han Solo spin-off.
Until they kept encouraging ad-libbing and went off book and made it a bit funnier and stuff. And then Ron Howard stepped in to clean things up.
He did.
There's some factoids for you. But yeah, the show Clone High, I almost think that's worth buying on DVD somewhere. But if you can watch it online, dear listener, we recommend you just watch some clips and have some laughs. The whole thing's on YouTube. I mean, it's somewhere on my old computer at the lowest bitrate quality known to man. But
yeah,
it is damn hilarious. What's not damn hilarious, Jonathan, is potentially how you're feeling. I wanted to ask you.
What a segue.
What a segue. How you're feeling, because you sent me a message earlier that said you're not feeling great. And I wanted to, if you're prepared to talk about it, if you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It might lead into something else that I wanted to talk about anyway, but I just wanted to ask if you want, yeah.
What's a good way to start this? I sent you a message this morning that said I feel depressed.
Yes.
And I think the reason I sent you that message is because over the past week, I feel like it's coming on stronger. There's just a general feeling of like apathy.
Okay.
Just like, oh, cool. Whatever. Like, things aren't really exciting me or yeah. I just feel a bit flat. And then that's kind of accompanied with finding it really hard to concentrate, finding it quite difficult to be motivated, finding it difficult to, like I'm getting stuff done, but there's just this fog. There's a fog around my head.
Have you got any idea what you think that fog might be?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of like, I mean, I getting in my own way. I know that's just what's happening. Like, I think the fog is. It's just so difficult to kind of articulate into words. I think the fog is. I don't know what the fog is.
Well,
I haven't got the foggiest.
You've got like this thing you're trying to do at the moment. You're finishing off a course to become a celebrant, a wedding celebrant, which means you'll be legally allowed to do weddings, funerals.
Yeah. So that was causing me stress.
Yep. Because you weren't doing it, were you? You were kind of like putting it off, procrastinating it.
Yeah.
And so that now you've started to do it.
And I feel way better about it. And it's not so much that. I think like, so maybe part of it is like, we just want to make music. And at the moment, there's so many things in the way of making music. It's like, I want to work on this song. Oh, well, I can't do that until I finish my celebrant course, or I can't. And then if I'm not, I've also got to work in that time. So, my time is a bit more drained. And then I start to think like, well, you know, what are we doing music wise for next year? What's going to happen? You know, there's things that are uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty around everything, and I'm not feeling particularly motivated even to, like, I become acutely aware that I just can't finish anything as well in music. I think that's part of the reason why it's so important for me to finish this fucking celebrant course, because I want to finish something. And then when I do that, I can move on to the other things. But then there's, I don't know. I'm kind of just, can't really articulate it at the moment.
Well, that's cool. I think the finishing thing is definitely is a big thing for you. Like you, I've said this before to you, and like, I think you got really good at finishing lots of little things on short, strict timelines, and having lots of wins in a day. And that's what being a chef is. You know, you do 300 covers, you have 300 successes every day, and you nail every one of them. And they're quite short. Like, you solve problems all along that way, but you have 300 wins. So you got very good at that. But one of the skills that you're working on is having prolonged involvement in a project and finishing that project and maintaining some of the momentum and all the things that go along with it. Because, you know, to bring the listener a little bit behind the curtain of Echo and Sidetrack, often the final mixdown stuff is my role in the team, because that's something I've always enjoyed, and I have a skill with it. So that's often where I end up. So sometimes you haven't been required to quote unquote finish music. So, and I think we're playing to some of your skills in that department. But I think what you're realizing now, with regard to some other stuff maybe, is that like maybe that finishing muscle just hasn't been flexed as much as you'd like it to.
Yeah.
That's why this is hard, man. And it is hard. Like, let's not beat around the bush. What you've decided to do with the celebrants course, a lot of people think it's just like an online course that you fill out and you do stuff, but you have to film ceremonies, write up all sorts of legal documents, prepare schedules, do a bunch of other stuff, don't you? It's quite involved.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a bit out of your wheelhouse as well. It's out of my wheelhouse as well. We are not that fucking regimented.
And part of me is like, there is a lot of anger and frustration in me at the moment that I go, why am I like how I am? Why am I the kind of person that's like says yes to something, to so many things? Like, why am I doing, like, I'm saying yes to the Celebrant course. I'm saying yes to working. I'm saying yes to Echo and Sidetrack. I'm saying yes to want to learn more video stuff. It's like I say yes to so much stuff, and then it overwhelms me, and then I go like, I can't finish any of this stuff, or I go really slow with it, or something like that. And I think lately that's been kind of pissing me off. Like, I hate that part of myself. I hate the fact that I can't just go, yeah, I'm going to do this one thing. Because it makes me feel like my life is chaotic. And it makes me feel like I'm kind of like all over the place. And I sometimes feel like all over the place. Even with the finishing stuff, man, recently I haven't finished watching things. Look, I've had a couple of like situations where I would I wouldn't finish watching an episode of something. I just start a new episode of something completely different. Instead of continuing to read the book I'm reading, I would read forward to the end of the chapter and I'd just like skip through a couple of pages. I just want to see if this happens.
I think that suggests a certain impatience because maybe now you really want to finish something. And like, that's okay. I can speak a little bit from experience with the wanting to do lots of stuff. I absolutely had that when I was a bit younger, and I still do, but I think I got better at whether it's saying no or just like compartmentalizing the things I was doing. Because really, you can do all the things you want to do, Johnny. You just can't do them at the same time.
Yeah.
The key is, if you had unfortunately this is how it kind of might sound a bit rude, but like, if you had organized your time better for the last 6 months,
absolutely,
you could be doing your work, your video, your Celebrants course, and music. And
knowing that fills me with rage and fills me with a feeling of I want to fucking jump out the window because I didn't take advantage of it, and that is the most stifling thing.
But that's okay because you know, and so what you're going to do is learn. But now you've got to put some different routines in place, and you've just got to say like, look, the most important things are actually Celebrant course, work, and then I'm going to get some music in. But if I'm going to finish the Celebrant course in the next month, this is what I have to do for that next month or 3 weeks or whatever it is. And like, I suppose, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but like, we all go through phases of being like, I really want to do the other thing, but I can't do the other thing right now.
It's less about putting in the routine, because I have done that and I am getting it done. It's more about how I feel about the whole process and my life in general.
Are you super frustrated with that?
Well, I just don't know. I feel like there's a blockage in me.
It's definitely not because you can't do any of this stuff, man. It's you just don't have much. You just don't have much practice at it.
No, but this okay. I don't think you're understanding me. I'm not articulating myself very well. In fact, I feel kind of like we should just fuck this whole podcast off at the moment.
No, it's interesting. It's good. I wanted to talk to you about it. I mean, by all means, we can change the subject, but like, and I don't want to appear like I'm telling you what to do. I'm trying to give you some reassurance that this is completely normal, and it's absolutely okay to feel like this, because this is some of the overwhelm Jonathan and I have felt, like completing things for uni, like coming to my final projects at university, and being like, do you know what would be really great? if I had have worked this hard 6 weeks ago because I'd been in a different position, and then I'd beat myself up about not having done that, or you've got to have a few of these, kind of, they're not failures. They're just like you did things differently so that you learn for next time. You almost have to lose something that's valuable or struggle with something valuable that it makes such a mark that you remember how to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you are going to finish this course, but you're not going to let it be like, I'm never going to try anything again. You're going to be like, oh, I've just got to get a little bit better at that stuff. And you are getting better at it, and it's really great.
I know. I just think there's just a few too many things happening in our lives at the moment that it's just, I almost feel like my brain has gone, oh, it's too much. It's going to shut down this little section. And kind of, my brain has somehow put me in a little bubble because it knows that it's trying to comprehend a few things that's causing me stress and anxiety at the moment. But I can still see outside the bubble. And I'm like, these things have to be dealt with. But my brain is going, no, it's all good. Like, we're just going to protect you. And that is making me feel like I can't deal with some of that stuff. Like, it's not.
There's almost a denial going on somewhere.
No, I don't think it's a denial. It's like, like people that say that they have depression and just can't get out of bed.
Yes.
It's just like the weight of, like, it's just too much. It kind of feels like that, but there's a part of me that's like, oh, you can't. Don't stop now. You can't do. I don't know. I also, as I say this, I'm just like, it's not that fucking bad. Stop being such a pussy and just just do it and stop fucking talking about it. Because that is something else I'm doing. I'm ruminating on the fact that I can't do it. I'm like in a fucking a cycle between my brainstem and my hypothalamus. Shout out to Byron at Mindful Psychology. Like, and
you are caught in a bit of a loop, and the loop is that I can't. That you go like, I'm not doing it. I can't do it, and then you're like, why can't I do it? I'm a fucking idiot. And then the negative self-talk starts, and then all of a sudden you just beat yourself up.
It's very difficult to be like, I'm very much an instant gratification person. Or at least I've acted like an instant gratification person. Even though I know that that's not the way forward. It's not like I feel like this all the time. But I have to... I had a good day yesterday chipping away at the Celebrant course, and I completed quite a bit. But then still I got to a point, I was like, at night I was like, fuck, I could do more. I really want to work on some music. Fuck, I can't work on music. Fuck, I can't do this. There's like a snowballing effect.
But you're allowed...
when it gets to certain times.
You're allowed to work on music, man. Just give yourself an hour a day.
No, but I'm just shit. It's like, I sometimes feel like I can't even write music anymore.
But don't even... I think one of the keys with this kind of thing is not to come in with judgment. Jonah, the goal is not to write a song. It's just to have some fucking fun.
Yeah, I'm judging. I am.
To get a break.
I'm judging myself way too much.
And you're also judging yourself on these feelings. Like, you're perfectly allowed to have these feelings, man. What you've gone through this year puts you in a position that's going to make you feel like this. And now realizing the stuff that you want to achieve with your Celebrants course, and then other stuff that's going on that's feeding into this stress and uncertainty, it all adds up to be a pretty fucking shitty tasting cake that you have to eat, unfortunately. And you're trying to work out different ways to eat the shit cake. But really, maybe you can scrape some of the icing off and I can deal with some of the icing. Or you can just be like, I'm going to deal with the icing afterwards, and I'm just going to cut each fucking piece of shit cake into segments and eat it, and then have a bit of nice tasting ice cream between. Because it is important that during these times that you do get some of the things that make you happy in there as well. Otherwise, you become a bit of a like martyr, like, you know, what's it like? You know, hurting yourself and being like, I have to work 12 hours a day at this thing. But then you've reached the point of diminishing returns after 5, and there's no point. You're approaching things in the right way. You're doing the work, and you're doing a great job. And just like reduce some of those expectations on yourself, and try not to judge yourself. And if you really lay it all out, all you have to do is eat a bit of shit cake for a month.
And that's not difficult.
Well, it is a bit difficult, but it's not it doesn't have to.
So this is where my brain, like, there's a logical answer to all this. And what I've tried to do is write out that logical answer several times and refer to it when I feel like this. You know, whether it's, all you have to do to complete the course is to do an hour a day, and you'll have it done by this date. And all you need to do is this other aspect of your life is X, Y, and Z, and bang, you're done. I've done that. I've logicked it out, and it just, the part of my brain that is mostly in control at the moment is the non-logical one. Is the non-logical side. It's again like, it's the it's like I can't see that. Man, it sometimes feels like, fuck, what's a good example? Like, a card you're holding is green, and you're like, look, man, it's green. And I'm like, nah, it's fucking red, man. I know it's red. I know it's red. And why are you telling me that it's green? It sometimes feels like that. Like, it's, you know, the obvious thing is laid out in front of you. Someone's saying, I love you, and you going like, when you say that, you don't actually mean it. It's that type of doubt. It's almost like I'm doubting the process. I'm doubting the logic that I set out for myself. And and that's what I mean. Like, I don't know if that's like, that's, to me, that's like a fundamental, I don't know, there's something wrong there.
There's nothing wrong with you, buddy.
No, not wrong with me. I'm saying there's something like off there. It's doubt.
There is a lot of doubt. I would say you have some more doubts and stuff than maybe I do. You definitely feel things. You're a very empathetic person. But not to get too, granular on it. I would actually zoom out a bit and say, I think you have a bandwidth problem at the moment. And you've got a finite amount of bandwidth that shrinks the more you think of the heavy stuff, which makes it harder to do the stuff with your finite amount of bandwidth.
Yeah.
And sometimes knowing that doesn't really help. But sometimes just being like, okay, this too shall pass, and I'm going to do the little things that help me along. And like, yeah, it becomes, I suppose it's like, someone told me ages ago, the feeling you get after you do drugs, the come down feeling, the emotional feeling, the, can be quite depressive or like angry or, everything like that. But sometimes it helps to remind yourself, oh wait, this isn't real. This is just the drugs that I had on the weekend that are making me feel like this. This will pass. If I just do, take it easy, chill out, do some exercise, eat right, this will be going faster than if I don't. But it's important to remember whenever these feelings pop up that it is amplified by the drugs. So I suppose you can apply that to almost anything. It's like, why am I feeling like this? Oh, it's because of X. And it's like, yeah, of course you're stressed because you have lots of stuff on. And of course you're uncertain. There's lots of things going on. And so it's okay. Like, first of all, saying it's absolutely okay to feel these feelings is really important. Because otherwise, one of your first steps is a sideways step, to be like, oh, I shouldn't feel like this. This should be easier. Look at that person. He did it so easily. It's like, don't.
Well, that's where the self-judgment
Yeah, exactly.
is instantly.
But yeah, it sounds like a bandwidth issue to me, buddy.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not a solution, but I'm glad you could share it with me. And I think, like I said, I think you're doing good stuff, and I know that you're capable of great work, and you can be one of your harshest critics.
I'm just sick of getting in my own way. I feel like that's what I do. I feel like I'm always the master of my own. I'm not going to say failure, because it's not like I haven't failed. It's more like I'm the master of my own self-destruction. Like I'm the thing that eats away at myself rather than as something else.
I think, again, John, I can completely sympathize with this. I think the self-talk is definitely a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about self-talk before, and I've definitely lost out of some of those self-talk practices. And I've definitely also, I want to say this, I haven't been exercising as much as I should have in the last month, so that's probably not helping. I just went to the gym and I felt good.
Yeah.
I also want to say it's hard to sometimes talk about this stuff because I don't want it to feel like I'm trying to get sympathy.
Nah, man.
I think as a child, we all probably did this, be like, you try to get sympathy for things. You want to be the sympathetic character because it doesn't feel nice to be, you feel bad, so you want comfort, and that's what sympathy is. You look for someone to pat you on the shoulder and say it's going to be okay. And before I thought maybe we could talk about this, or when I do talk about this with friends or whatever, I always think like, yeah, am I just looking to get the sympathetic answer? Am I just looking for someone to be like, hey, it's going to be okay? And then I go, okay, yeah, it is going to be okay. Thank you. And then the cycle begins again. Like, and I hope I'm not. I don't feel like I am, but unconsciously that's might be what I'm trying to do. And the way I'm thinking about it, I'm like trying to be my own motivator.
Yeah.
And trying to be like, you can talk to other people about it, and it's good to talk to people about it, and I do talk to people about it, but like you have to be the one to dig yourself out of the hole, for lack of a better metaphor. Like you need to pull yourself up. You need to be there for yourself when you, like, you have to show up for yourself.
Yeah, I think someone can help you out, but you have to not, create a second character that's pulling you back into the mud.
Yes,
as you try and get out. Because, man, I think, back to your sympathy thing. Of course, that's going to make you feel better, but don't, again, judge yourself that you could be doing it out of some sort of weird thing. Of course, when we're all going through stuff, we want other people to care for us. You're not doing it for any other reason other than you're fucking human. And you're like, hey, I'd like to be cared for, and this is actually a genuine problem. You're not a person that goes out there and creates drama. You actively downplay your own drama in lieu of hearing other people's shit. I know you do. So when you've got something on, it's absolutely okay to be like, this is too much to carry. I'm fucking done. And struggle with it. That's important. That being able to share and, trust yourself and communicate it and stuff. And man, how would things be different if you were in the same country as your family and me? I think they would be. You might not have been able to get to this point. As in, someone might have. There might have been more help available. So this is how you become a bit more, in some ways, self-sufficient. This is the challenge. Yeah. The little challenge that the universe has laid out for you, and you know what the challenge is. It's all there. I earlier this year I was going through some shit, amongst other things, and I drew a little picture of like of a maze that gets like goes progressively in like a circle, and I kind of said that like, and then like the doorway to the next entrance was in front of you after you walk through the last doorway. So like, you walk into ring 1 and then there's a door in front of you to ring 2. And then so on and so forth as you get towards the center. And that's like you leveling up in life. But the maze that goes around is you looking for another fucking way through. But often that like door, you walk straight into it and you're like, I've got to do that. And you're like, that looks fucking hard. And like, fucking, I'm going to hang out in ring 2 for a little bit. And like, maybe there's another way in. But often it's right in front of you. And sometimes as well, you have to walk all the way back to find that door and be like, fuck, it's right where I thought it was. Yep, okay, ready to do the thing that gets me through that door. But as you get better at doing the things, you realize quicker and quicker where that challenge is. And this is you just realizing, having a bit of a fucking epiphany, man, about the way you do things. And I think that's really, really important. And it's special. So it has some significance.
It doesn't feel too special at the moment.
Of course it's not going to feel like it's special, man. It feels like it sucks ass. Because special should feel like rainbows and lollipops and surprises and gifts and getting drunk with friends.
Where is my gift? Yeah. And I mean, I want to say, like, it's not like I'm feeling like this. I've had, I don't want to even talk about good days or bad days. It's not at that level, but it's like I've had some good times recently. And honestly, there's a part of me that's like, I thought this was to do with alcohol consumption. I thought how I felt sometimes was to do with drinking. And then having the month of drinking, I was like, oh, well, I still kind of have this like this feeling. And then, I think I drank 2 nights in the last week. And I think that exacerbated the situation.
Yeah.
Or that.
It does.
But I think that's also just like, yeah, I don't know. I thought that it was consuming alcohol that was not helping and lack of sleep. But no, it's actually something more deeper within me.
Those things wouldn't have helped. But yeah, it is that thing. But the weight you will feel when you complete this course and we deal with some other stuff will be incredible. And like, that's why it might be good to keep some journals during this time, so you know that you know how you felt and how you got through it. And it's not, I know I'm just like trying to make it not sound difficult in some way, but it's not.
it's not just the course. You know, it's just like life. I just didn't, where life is at the moment is just a bit frustrating because of the way my brain works. I was listening to a podcast this morning with Josh Wolf and Ryan Sickler.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the Honeydew podcast. And Josh Wolf was talking about, it was like, there are some people that are going to be good dads and terrible fathers. Good fathers, but terrible husbands, or really good friends and really good partners, but terrible parents. Like, very rarely, you know, you can't just be good at everything. You can't expect yourself to be good at everything. And I think I'm really good with going with the flow. I'm fairly relaxed. You can change plans on me. I'm fairly adaptable, very adaptable. But when asked to sit down and be hyperlogical for X amount of time, that doesn't come very easy to me. It's like what you're talking about before with my work. A lot of my work has always been like in kitchens or something that's like you do X and then Y happens and then you get to the end of the formula, and it's like kind of more of an instant feedback rather than working on a long project. And like you said,
it's just practice, man.
Yeah, and I think it's good to give me this practice, and it's going to be beneficial to me, but yeah, at the moment I just feel a bit clogged.
Yeah, well, you're going to clear this blockage because, one, you're going to do a bit more deep diving on it, but also you're just going to, you know, get out of your own way, and it's okay. You're just going to keep going with it because, you know, the course may not be the whole thing, but finishing the course is a very concrete milestone to tick off and be like, fuck yeah, that's done. Now I'm going to apply the same rhythm. Because, Jono, what you're going to have after you finish this course is you'll have dedicated a bunch of time in a regimented manner to something. So all you have to do is swap in something else, or just trade in your music then. Just be like, oh, the time I was working on my course is now time I work on music, and I'm that regimented to do this kind of thing. And I think that's going to be incredibly helpful. And then we can look at you know, the finishing thing on a wider scope after the course is over, because it's not important at the moment because you just get lost in it. But there is like a little thing in you that you want stuff to be done so you can go and have, you know, quote unquote, have fun. You're like, I want this to be completed. Is it done? And I think deep down in some things, you know that even you know that it's not done, but you just want it to pass.
Yeah. I want it to be done. I want so many things to be done.
Yeah, so you can have all the things, but you'll get all the things. Remember, we overestimate what we can achieve in a day and underestimate what we can achieve in a month. So
you're right. It's very true.
I feel like you've got a time limit.
I do. We've been running for 45 minutes. Have you got any fun stories that you want to brighten up the podcast with? It just feels a bit like I've been being a sad little panda, which is okay.
It's absolutely fine, man. Yeah, stop judging yourself. Do I have any fun stories? I went to the highs and lows party at the Record Bar on the weekend and saw a bunch of bands play, including Pond, Mountain, and Grievous Bodily Calm. And I had never seen, I think I'd seen Pond play before, but I'd never seen the other two. And fuck me, I was impressed. It was a sick night. They put on a great party, but just watching a band, especially a band with like 5+ members, really vibe out in a musical way, tight as fuck. It was so cool, and it really filled me with excitement and energy, and I found it really inspiring. One to continue on my little journey of learning more about music, but also just to write music and have it connect with people, not just write music that's write songs, write fucking songs, not just a bunch of noises in the right key, I suppose. It's not really a funny story. Let me tell you. Let me see if I have anything on the humorous tip. No, not really. I have laughed a lot recently, but it's not anything I can it's not like some concrete story I can tell. But I do love hearing stories from other people, and I heard some really good ones on the weekend from I love just having a conversation with someone, and almost without prompting, they just start to tell you great little tales from their past, and you almost don't want to ask too many questions or don't want to change the subject. You don't want to say anything at the risk of you'll lose the next lot of stories. Like me and Justin were just chatting at his house on the balcony, having a seltzer. Has the seltzer craze hit the UK? I'm sure it has.
What's a seltzer?
Seltzer is it's like a vodka soda, but some people make it with vodka, some people make it with just like base spirit, and it just tastes like water and a little twist of fruit, and it's got 60 calories, and it's fucking delicious. It's just the easiest drink. White Claw. In America, they're called White Claws, and that's like a little seltzer thing, and they're like the drink of the summer. But either way, if you don't,
everyone's drinking mulled wine here.
Well, go and get yourself a seltzer. But we were drinking seltzers on the balcony, and he just told me some great stories that were it sounded like something from a movie, and I was just like, oh, that's hilarious. And then you'd be like, you didn't say anything, and then he'd say oh yeah, and then this happened, and you're like, oh, it keeps going, oh, this is sick. And it got me one, excited about storytelling, and also excited about music. And I also wore a new shirt, and I had a hell of a Saturday.
That sounds fucking fantastic, buddy. What kind of shirt was it?
Well, I bought the Highs and Lows 15th anniversary one.
Yeah.
And I got a new I Love Ugly shirt, just a plain white t-shirt. And it was very comfortable. And then Justin lent me his this jacket of his, and I really enjoyed wearing that. And I joked about stealing it off him, and he joked about throttling me with some sort of a bat. You made some sort of a noise just before. What were you going to say?
Yeah, so this afternoon I'm going to go to the Electronic Dance Museum. The EDM Museum. No, the Design Museum is having a what are they called?
Exhibition?
Yeah, that's the word. The design the Design Museum is having an exhibition for electronic music from the 70s, 80s and 90s,
sick
Kraftwerk and Fatboy Slim and stuff, and I'm going to go there.
Sick. Well, I hope you find some inspiration there. You should take some photos, and as I often do, John, I'll give you a little tip from the world of Jeff. At museums, sometimes I'll see something I like, and I just take a photo of the
label?
Yeah, the little bit of writing.
So you can look it up later?
Exactly. So yeah, I can do more reading on the, yeah.
And you can view it you kind of get to view it again
Yeah.
rather than looking at your phone and going, oh, there it is. It's like seeing the photo on your phone stops you from doing that extra bit of investigation. Yeah.
And I hope you find it inspiring. And yeah, I mean, you know, you're doing it, man. You really are. You know, remind yourself that you are enough, that you're doing a you know, you're living your life. You're embarking on a journey, and in 5 years, in 6 months, Johnny, you're going to be like, fuck, that was a bit of a hard section of my journey, and this, but you did it and you achieved it, and you're in a different spot, and it was all worth it as well.
And all leading up to
the crescendo,
a certain thing. Yeah.
I remind myself every day that I've got this and I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.
Do you do that on your morning pages?
Yeah, I do. And sometimes I'll just say it to myself. And sometimes fucking other people will say it. They'll be like, you got this, man. And I'll be like, wow, that's something I say to myself. It's almost like the universe just like scrunches it out of someone else's face. I've been meeting more people, like, which is a little bit not exhausting, but like it's different for me as I realize I'm a bit more of an introvert. But I've been trying to meet more people, and this year, and like the people I like, I'm getting more involved with, and I'm laughing with lots, and I'm exploring that, and I think that's a really, really positive thing. And so there's some moments, man, where I go like, this is so against how you might have done things in the past, which is why you have to do it differently now.
That's good.
Yeah.
To recognize that and to recognize your need to change. Because, I mean, I was always the more social one out of the two of us. And you would be like, I remember we've talked about it, you being like less inclined to do the social event or more happy to be like, no, I won't go or miss out on that. So it's really good. It feels like you're really having the summer of Jeff. Drinking seltzers and wearing fucking jackets of Friends.
Kissing girls. Doing all sorts
Kissing
of
girls.
things.
Kissing
doing all
girls.
sorts of things. Doing all sorts of things.
Nice. Buddy.
Buddy. Yeah, I'm having a time. I'm having fun. I'm pretty happy. But Jonathan, if we wind the clock back to the first podcasts, they started in Jeff was in a pretty low position.
Jeff was in a low position. Jono was the highest he's ever been. No. What was the first one? The first one was the first one? We recorded a podcast the night before you left. Was that on our old podcast?
Yeah, that was on our old podcast, man. We should actually start sprinkling in a few of those podcasts because there's a bunch of funny stuff.
There's some good conversations, but I mean,
it's a very different tone.
Yeah, I think so.
But this podcast started in April.
Yeah, I might go back and listen to the first one.
Yeah,
I feel like
buoyancy because I'm so fucking depressed. Not even depressed, just morose and sad and unhappy.
I'm pretty sure I'm giving you advice that's exactly like the advice you gave me. You're exactly where you need to be. Tell yourself you love yourself. All those things that I know are the fucking solution to how I feel. But they are sometimes the hardest thing to do.
They are, man.
Again, there's that block.
That block, but realizing there's a block is important. And realizing, Jonathan, that you're standing in front of that fucking door and you're going to work through it and you're going to get through that door, because the other way is to just walk off and deny yourself the amazing opportunity to have a breakthrough.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think things happen all at once. Sometimes it's negative things, sometimes it's opportunity, but things happen all at once and feel like they're all building up to something all at once. So you can learn to not lose your cool when those things happen. And
Yeah.
I know this is like a test. This is this is good. It'll be okay. It will be okay.
It is okay, man.
It is okay.
It is okay. I'm going to let you go because you're going to go to the design museum. I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
And I will chat to you in a little
More
while.
than you'll ever know. No, not really.
Have a great day. Be inspired. And thank you so much for sharing and talking about this stuff. Because as we said at the start, it is a pillar of. Maybe the third pillar is like self-awareness and self-esteem and like the
Self-love.
self-love, like all of that stuff.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's pretty fucking important. I love myself. And I am enough. And I'm going to go out there and fucking tell myself that every day.
You're doing it, man.
Yeah.
You're doing it. And I'm doing it over here. And the listener is doing it wherever they're doing it. And we thank you for doing it.
Thanks for doing it, buddy. Thank you, listener, for doing it.
I love you, man. I'll chat to you in a bit.
Okay, I love you too.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app and keep up to date with all new episodes. They're going to be coming out once a week. We are Echo and Sidetrack on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Echo Sidetrack. Go listen to our music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, or wherever your ears consume happiness. Lots of love, people.